Hey, and welcome back to another exciting episode at MSA. Tonight's topic is going to be a real juicy, interesting one that I don't think a lot of people heard about because it kind of got slipped in there. It has to do with the kill switch that has to be installed in all 2026 cars that are coming out. Now, before we get into this, as we always ask, please like, share, and subscribe. We really need you to do that. We're a small channel trying to grow, as well as we're trying to get a message out there that not a lot of people get to hear. Now, when you share it to everybody you know. We'll get to that in a minute. But going into the main topic of this whole thing, it seems that in 2021, there was legislation that was passed, and it was hidden in 1,026 pages worth of an amendment that came through, and it got passed that all 2026 vehicles must come installed with a kill switch. Now, you ask, who's in control of this kill switch? Very good question. It seems that the police are not going to be in control of the kill switch. It seems that it's going to most likely be a government entity. Now, as we've seen, the government gets its hands into things and it doesn't always go well. But we are going to play a little clip for you that's going to add a little bit more flavor. We've got a senator out there that's going to talk about exactly what's going on with this kill switch and how it works for you and I. Ready? Be back in just a minute.
Now, we briefly touched on this next story last night, but it was so enraging that I thought it deserved a longer conversation.
It's so incredible that I have to offer this amendment. It almost sounds like the domain of science fiction, that the federal government would put a kill switch in vehicles that would be the judge, the jury, and the executioner on such a fundamental right as the right to travel freely.
Now, this isn't about protecting people. It's about controlling your every move, at least when you're in a vehicle. And it's something that the left and the federal government want you to kind of get used to. House Democrats and 19 Republicans voted against Thomas Massey's amendment that would defund a federal kill switch mandate, which means that all cars manufactured starting in 2026 will now have a way for authorities to monitor your driving and then cut power to your car. Oh, what could go wrong with that? Joining me now, Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massey. Congressman, now, I think, when some of us were driving, we needed to because we were necessary, essential employees, but we were driving during COVID and they didn't know we were necessary employees, maybe they would have hit the kill switch on us. Who knows?
Yeah. You know, people said I'm a conspiracy theorist for saying this is in the legislation, but I actually had to read the Democrats, the bill that they passed 2 years ago. They passed this in 2021 as part of a 1,039-page bill to require that your car can monitor your driving performance, and if it thinks you're not driving well, it can disable your vehicle. Imagine you're a mom with kids in the car, and you swerved for a deer, and then you pulled over for an emergency vehicle to go by, and you've only got one swerve left. I mean, how terrible, before it shuts you down and takes you to the side of the road. My question is, how do you appeal your conviction when you're sitting at the side of the road with a car that won't run, who knows where, stranded?
Here's your colleague from Michigan, of course, auto industry capital of the world, Representative Debbie Dingell. She reacted to your amendment.
We need to stop drunk driving by making impairment prevention technology standard in new vehicles. It does not mandate kill switches or allow data collection that invades vehicle occupants' privacy. I protect data privacy in vehicles probably more than the sponsor of this does. It's ridiculous, and it doesn't monitor how you drive.
Congressman, please respond to those mellifluous tones.
Well, she needs to read the bill that she voted for. That's the problem. It does. And after she said that, I did read her the bill. Here's the other thing. This isn't a breathalyzer. 31 states already have ignition interlock devices where if you've been convicted of a DUI, you have to blow through that in order to start your car. That's not what this is. Now, this bill also has the ability, it says that car manufacturers need to somehow passively monitor the air in the car to see if you've been drinking. The problem with that is, what if you're the designated driver and you're trying to get somebody home who's had too much to drink? There's so many ways this could go wrong. It's basically a backseat driver, a nanny. And to her point about privacy, I'm worried about that as well. How do you know if somebody's driving well on the road they're on unless you know which road they're on? So you need to know their location. Who has access to this information? Is there going to be a camera that's watching your face as you drive to make sure you're looking at the road? Who gets that data, and do they need a warrant?
Yeah, it's unclear to me where the data is stored.
Okay, you got to see the clip. Now, when you hear that it didn't fly, his amendment to take the kill switches back out of the car, it starts to raise questions. The main questions that we're starting to ask here at MSA are, A, why would we have to have a kill switch in every vehicle? They're talking about how it would passively monitor the air inside the car. Now, if you notice, when the other lady got up and started to give her rebuttal as to why we have to have that kill switch installed, kind of sounded like she'd been nipping a little bit, didn't it? And she's talking about, taking out drunk drivers and all of that. You're listening to a person that gets chauffeured around everywhere that she goes. She did have a point. Drunk drivers do cause a lot of accidents and deaths here in America as well as around the world. And having something in our vehicle that would stop that does seem like it would make sense. Now, people that are convicted of drunk driving, they have to add the little breathalyzer in their little car, and they have to blow and go so they can get anywhere they need to go. It's an ignition interlock, right? So you're blowing it, everything's fine, the car will start, you can go where you got to go. This kill switch that they're talking about, it monitors the air inside the cabin of the vehicle. So if you were, like they said in the video, if you were someone that was a designated driver and you had a carload of people that had been out drinking, car may or may not work. The other thing, too, is that very good argument about the fact of how you're driving, whether you can sway back and forth and how all of a sudden the car might think there's something wrong with you being impaired and it might shut off. How does that work? When does it shut off? Where are you? You caught in a snowstorm trying to get somewhere and you're sliding around? Is it that, you barely missed from an accident, now it's going to shut down, you can't make it to work? And whose opinion would you be driving behind on a daily basis? Meaning, who's sitting there monitoring your car, and if something goes on, they decide you don't get to go where you need to go? Definitely fully against this one. And how it did this amendment to get it out of the cars in 2026, how that didn't pass, is still mind-boggling. We're going to look a lot more into that. It seems that the feds are now trying to get into the kill switches in the car. They're trying to add more government into the FAA to not regulate the safety as much, but to regulate your flight travels even more. Then we're talking about the CBDC, this currency, this digital currency, where they control the money flow and how you use your money. It's all starting to kind of come together, sounding like the government is trying to more and more take over the American way of life, which that is not a democracy. And all we've been hearing lately, left and right, is how democracy is being killed by such and such person and such party and all of these things. It's not making sense. Putting a kill switch inside of a car definitely doesn't make sense. That if you are not in control of it, should not be there. Because, again, let's just take the quick argument over the fact that what if they did put this in a car, okay? And it does monitor the air in the cabin. Does that mean that everybody that rides a motorcycle doesn't have to worry about that kill switch? Or would you be installing a different style of kill switch inside of a motorcycle? Think about how dangerous that could actually be. Big rigs, you're just going to have them shut off on the side, just shut off and start floating across traffic? Something really stinks about this one. We need to hear your message in the comments. Please add some comments in there. Let us know how you feel about this topic, because it's definitely something that we're very much against here at Make Sense America. So do us a favor, like, share, and subscribe. Again, we're trying to grow. Make sure you share with everybody that you know out there. Send it to your friends, your people you don't like, old teacher you used to have, anybody. We really want your support. And we look forward to seeing you again. Hope everything's going well wherever you're at, day, night, morning. Hope everything's great. So just remember, we love you, and we'll see you again. Take care.